Hello, everybody, and welcome to my presentation on digital marketing. My name is Ben Taylor. First, I'll start off by telling you a bit about who I am, what I do across the marine industry, and specifically with the Yacht Charter. And then we'll go into various aspects of digital marketing. And the target of this is to give you a little bit of a framework, some guidance on things that you can do straight away in your business. So there's a few principles and underlying methodologies that you can follow, but also things that you can take away, and next week you can implement these processes to start leveraging social media, email marketing, affiliate marketing in a better way. So, yep, my name is Ben Taylor. My core business is providing payment solutions across the marine industry. The one that's most specific to you guys, we're actually talking about in the presentation straight after this in here, so you're welcome to come along with Nadia's tips and tricks, and part of that we've got Sam Owens from Total Processing coming along and talking about that product that we spent 2 years developing specifically for this market to help you guys out. So that's my core business, and that's what I've ended up doing. I'll go into my full story in a moment. But I'm also a presenter and a speaker across the marine industry. So I've done quite a lot now over the pandemic. There's a lot of virtual stuff, hosting panels for companies like the Balearic Yacht Show. I also do a lot of work with British Marine. I actually launched and I now host the digital networking event for British Marine, which is the trade body for the marine industry in the UK. Next week I'll be going to Metstrade, and I'm actually presenting for Metstrade TV as a bit of a reporter. So I'll be on the show floor telling everyone online what's taking place and what's going on. And then I also have a show on Yachting International Radio that we've been doing for nearly 2 years now, that goes through the career stories of people in the marine industry, usually high-level entrepreneurs that have faced a lot of challenges in getting to where they have been. But we go into their story, and it's really cool to see what they've faced, how they've come across it, and how the industry is evolving, and of course into what they're doing today. And then the Booking Manager Summit, of course. So we're here, and that's fantastic. So, my story. My story starts off in a warehouse in Bacup, which is a small place where nothing much happens apart from this warehouse. And this was in water sports distribution. So I started off on the warehouse floor packing boxes for everything like wakeboards and wetsuits and things like that. Selling to UK retailers. And this evolved really. So it was a small company, it was family run, about 6 to 8 people in the whole company. So it was one of these operations where if you're in the company, you end up doing a bit of everything. You have like a specialist area, but the reality is if business calls and things need to be done, then it's dig in, it's learn fast, and that's where a lot of my business knowledge originates from. And I loved it, it was great. And then I went to the company and said, well, I'm after bigger opportunities. I want to go into more the international sales side and things like that. And went to the Southampton boat show. And I went stand to stand. It was pretty hardcore. I went up to one stand and said, hey, you've got any sales jobs going? I was like, no, okay, right, next one. Oh, we might have something, but we're not recruiting yet. And then just really, really hardcore groundwork of getting myself out there. And asking for jobs. And I remember to this day, I was at the Globe Sailor stand saying, look, have you got a sales job? And it wasn't going very well. They were like, no, is the answer. But during that conversation, I got a little tap on the shoulder by a founder of a boutique yacht charter agency based in Zurich, Switzerland. And they were looking for someone to head the UK, develop business there, and pioneer this project about a boat swapping community, which was an amazing concept. And for the next year, that's what the core of my role was. And that introduced me more to the marine side of the world rather than the water sports side. And I saw during that year there that there's a lot of technology out there, there's a lot of digital marketing opportunities that are not really leveraged to their maximum throughout the marine industry. And so I went out on my own, focused on social media and started a social media consultancy company, helping marine organizations with their social media ads on Facebook, Instagram, targeting them and developing full strategies and all that kind of thing. This then got refined, so I went to a few shows. I'm based near Manchester, and at Manchester, it's one of the big technology hubs of the UK. So there's London, Cambridge, and Manchester. Also Leeds is right up there. And I came across these technologies. There were a lot to do with things like email automation, website personalization, and payment technologies. And so I essentially realized that technology could do a pretty good job, probably better than what I was doing, working my backside off, doing it manually. And then this then refined into payment technologies. So hence where I am today, providing payment solutions across all of marine. So today I've tried to just focus on a few topics so we can do them really well across digital marketing, because it is an incredibly broad topic, and there's teams of people in like micro niches of this, because there's so much you can do. But we're going to be covering social media, email marketing, affiliate marketing, and we're just going to touch on data analytics very, very briefly at the end. But hopefully this should be a framework for you guys to use in your own businesses. And to make it a little bit more interesting, I'm going to wrap my experiences into this, just to keep you all engaged. And if you do have questions, do engage with me. I'm happy to answer them all, of course. And one thing to touch on is, why do digital marketing? Like, it is a pain. It's another thing to do. We've all got very limited time in our lives, and marketing sometimes comes down to one person. It's another thing to do in their role. And today is about identifying what value you can extract from it and really leverage it to get the most out of your marketing assets. So, social media. Please, please, please use these 3 steps. Step number 1, set a goal. For 99% of the companies in the room, it will be sales. You want to sell yacht charters. You're not that bothered if you get 1,000 likes. You're not that bothered if 1 million people saw your post. At the end of the day, what you really need is someone that's genuinely interested in chartering your yacht and converting into a paying customer. So when it comes to analytics on your ROI and things like that, you go, hey, well, we invested £100 or £1,000 in our social media budget, and we got that back 3 times over, so let's do it again. It's a good venture to get involved in. The other thing there is, say if you're a charity organization and things like that, then maybe your target is not sales. Maybe it's awareness and exposure. So do identify that really early on, because it will set the roadmap for your whole strategy and how you go about leveraging social media really well. Now, your strategy. Consider all sorts during your strategy, especially your types of content. One of the big things people fall down on is consistency. So I'll go into developing social media strategies a little bit later, but the consistency element of it is one of those things that it's easy to do it really, really well for a month or a week. Maybe it's a day and you go wild and do 20 posts. That's great, but actually it takes consistency to see the results out of social media. And then execution. Don't make a plan and then don't do it. That's ridiculous. And even if you have a really simple plan, sometimes simplicity is genius, and if it takes place, if it actually happens, because your processes are easy to do, they're inexpensive, they're realistic, then they'll actually take place, and that's far more effective than investing your whole budget into a really advanced, all singing, all dancing strategy, and then it never taking place. That's a bit of a disaster. So social media is not about direct selling. It's really, really soft. It's the modern day approach of showing people what you do, but creating this gravity towards your company and your values. So please, especially on things like LinkedIn, rather than reaching out and going, hey, do you want this product? There's something I can help you with here. It's far more effective to, over time, gently and softly communicate what you're all about, what your values are, and what you do, as opposed to imposing this obligation on people. What we'll find, and we'll go into the platforms in a second, is that all this stuff is around being on the right side of the platforms. So you want the platform to support your content so that platforms like Facebook and Instagram actually want your audience to see your content as opposed to fighting it. And so how we build influence is a series of nudges. So over time, 6 months of you saying, hey, we do really exciting yacht charters, look at these experiences we've provided for these families, and just how wonderful these experiences are. That's far more effective than imposing in someone, I can send you on a really exciting holiday. So it's the nudge theory over time that really gets your audience engaging with you very well. Okay, social media is quite difficult. That's the reality of it. Sometimes a fantasy is sold that if you do certain things, if you follow a really specific guide and carry it out, then it is somehow guaranteed that you will get X number of views, X number of likes, and it will just take off and go viral. The reality is it's a bit of a social science. Now, we need to tap into human behavior and really hit on an audience and appeal to them really well, which is going to differ from company to company and person to person. So that whole really valuing who you're speaking to and making sure that's the right audience is exactly what we need to do. So one strategy that I do is that say I get 40 engagements of some sort, maybe that's comments and likes, on a post, I think about 40 people in the room seeing that content, engaging with it, and actually converting them from just seeing it and actually wanting to engage with it. That's a really high level of engagement, and it carries influence with it. So if we take a room like this, and myself speaking in front of you, it carries influence. And so every time, whenever I want, by posting on social media and creating that message, that's what I can do at any time. And with consistency, that's really powerful. And when you're looking at audiences and analytics, it's really easy to go, well, it's 1,000 people, it's only 50,000 people. We wanted kind of like hundreds of thousands of people to see it. It's really difficult to comprehend the magnitude of those audiences, especially if you get into like 1 million people and things like that. To give you an idea or something to relate to, the world's biggest stadium holds 132,000 people. This is in America somewhere, and I googled it and went, wow. That's a damn big stadium, and what I picture is that if you were in front of 132,000 people, your content was, that's the equivalent of going to each seat in that stand and showing them the content that you've created. And so, just to add some optimism into the social media performance, it's quite good to just visualize. Okay, maybe it was 100 or 200 people that saw your content. But that does have value. Okay, audience. So this is your primary focus. We're a niche sector. Not everyone is going to want to go on a yacht charter for all sorts of different reasons. Personally, it appeals to me very heavily. I've grown up on boats and absolutely love being on, in, or under the water. And so I'm part of that audience, and many of you will be too. Like, this is a lifestyle industry, and people running these companies maybe small family-run business, and it's because of their passion that's at the core of that business that they're actually in that line of work. And this is something we can leverage to really appeal and align with our audience's values, and that's what we're trying to do. So the first thing to make sure you're talking to the right audience is choose your platform. So the ones on the left here, I like a pointer. I don't often get a pointer. There we go. On the left here are the main platforms that we should be looking at. So Facebook has the oldest demographic. Your audience will be there. Have no doubt they will be online, whether that's to communicate just with their kids or to find the latest news and follow things that they like. It's now a widely adopted way of communicating and something to do. It's almost a hobby. So the oldest demographic is on Facebook, and there's all sorts of features on Facebook, like Facebook groups, that have this kind of niche interest. So personally, I'm into spearfishing and freediving, and I'm in a few groups where it's, I think it's called Freediving UK. And here, out of everyone and all my friends, there's only a few that are interested in freediving. Like, it's really, really niche. But there, I can say, hey, what's this area like to freedive in? Maybe it's a specific area that you run your charters that you can advise in, and that you can position yourself as an expert in that area. That sort of thing will really highly appeal to your audience and get high amounts of engagement to build that influence again. Instagram is the visual platform. Guys, we're not selling toilet paper. We're selling like really exciting holidays with sexy boats and celebrations and all sorts of things like that. So anything visual in the marine industry should be on Instagram. Your audience are there again. It's a huge demographic in terms of age range and consumer base. So they'll be there as well. So if you have nice pictures to show, which I know we all do, especially with people which I'll touch in later, get them on Instagram. Use it. It's there. It's free. And then LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is the professional social network, and it's the market leader by absolutely miles. So if you are developing more business-to-business relationships or developing a personal brand as an individual, LinkedIn is a really, really strong way to do that. You won't actually find me on Facebook or Instagram as a business, but I'm all over LinkedIn. And the opportunities that it brings are amazing, actually. They're quite surprising. I love it when it comes in because I follow my own rules and don't directly outreach so much through LinkedIn, but it's a nice surprise ever so often when someone goes, oh, we've seen you consistently over 6 months, 12 months, 2 years at all these different events, and says, hey, why don't you come to our conference? And opportunities come along from it. Some other ones. Snapchat, really, really young demographic, more like a messaging platform. And for something like that, anything like WhatsApp messaging and things, I would categorize it as almost invasive if somebody hasn't made a really clear interaction with your business. And what I mean by that is if it's before they're a paying customer, somebody might feel a little bit uncomfortable with effectively a stranger popping up in their WhatsApp. It's incredibly invasive. But things like content on Facebook and Instagram, because it's organically put in front of them and they want to engage with it, it's a slightly different psychology that we must position at different places along the customer journey. TikTok, I absolutely love TikTok. I first downloaded it and spent about 3 hours of my life just going through it. And that then consistently happened, which created a love-hate relationship. It's now been deleted off my phone for that reason. It was just too good, too engaging. But from our perspective, TikTok is a relatively young social media platform, but it is growing exponentially. I believe Microsoft are either interested in it or have just purchased it. But TikTok, one of the best things about TikTok is that there are very few creators, but a huge audience that's consuming that content. And what that means, if you're willing to dance around to music on a yacht, there's not many people who are willing to do that. However, there's a huge audience that wants to see it. And so it's less competitive in terms of, if you're a content creator on Instagram, there are so many creators of content on Instagram that you've got to be kind of number one to go viral. And you might be competing against 1.2 million other creators that talk about boats in a day. On TikTok, it's a far smaller audience of content creators. So it's less difficult to be right up there with the number one content. Twitter. Out of all social media platforms, I will openly admit my weakest understanding is of Twitter. I don't get it. My thoughts are around if you are a media organization or like a major celebrity and you've got news that everyone needs to hear, but it's hot for about an hour. It's like hot off the press and it really needs to get out there. It needs to get out there fast. But the next day, everyone will know, and it's just like, yeah, old news, get on with it. A platform, if you have that kind of content, which I imagine is very, very few of us here, then yeah, go for it, do Twitter. But it's things like that sometimes you might have a strategy created for you on Twitter, and the result is something like you should post every 20 minutes. And the reality is that's very difficult or unreachable in businesses like our own. And certainly when it comes to analyzing that investment and ROI, yeah, sometimes it's very difficult to justify. And then Clubhouse. Clubhouse is another one of my favorites. For those of you that don't know Clubhouse, it's even newer than TikTok. It's kind of the rising social media platform. Essentially, I describe it as open source radio. So someone on Clubhouse can start a room, a virtual room. It's audio only, and invite people to come along and chat about whatever subjects they might want to do. So, for example, I might start one now and talk about social media. And in that room, everyone will just chat about social media, and it's very open. So there'll be a host, and then there'll be an audience, and the audience can virtually raise their hand and say, I want to chip into the conversation. And so you can invite them to the stage, and then it builds this like kind of group conversation. It's quite amazing. I like it. At the moment, it's invite only. So it's a very limited audience. And in terms of leveraging it really well from a commercial point of view, it's very difficult to do because it's so new. So we look at platforms like Facebook and Instagram, both owned by Facebook, and very, very advanced advertising, targeting advertising and data analytics. They're really, really refined by this point, and so you can get a really solid ROI. A strategy that works now on Clubhouse may be vastly different in a month, in 6 months' time, and so it's not kind of had that time to mature and develop on that level. So my overwhelming recommendation is to stick with Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. So the king of social media is engagement. That's the target. If we can create engaging content, then the platforms are going to be behind us. They're going to support it because the audience wants to engage with it. One thing we forget is that social media platforms have social in their name. They're supposed to be social. I know it gets a lot of criticism for being antisocial and keeping heads in phones and that kind of thing. But once they're there, we need to be social, or as social as possible. And being sociable is engaging with others. It's making a comment, it's chipping into the conversation, or even sending that content to a friend that resonates really highly with. These are the things we need to target. And the £1 million question really is, how do we create engagement? And the answer is, an emotional shift needs to be achieved. And what I mean by this is you need to change the state of someone emotionally. You need to shake them up. And this could be done in 2 ways, positively or negatively. The positive ones are things like happiness. You might want to be awe-inspiring. You might want to make their jaw drop, like literally, and go, "Oh wow, that's really cool. I want to do that." It might be excitement, happiness. These are the sorts of things that's likely to be in a charter operation. What you can also do is leverage negative emotions. So this sounds horrible, and it's so unfortunate that this is the case. But if you've ever watched the news, you may well come away from it thinking, "Oh, that's depressing. That's horrible. There's something going wrong in this part of the world, and there's upsets here and there, and it's all very negative." And the reason behind that is the goal of media companies is engagement. And negative emotions are twice as powerful as positive emotions. Hence, we go along and see the news, and it's negative news after negative news after negative. And although it doesn't make us feel good or happy or anything like that, it keeps us engaged. We're hooked. And so they're leveraging their goal really, really well through emotions. Okay, content. The thing with content is, please be authentic and genuine. Social media is incredibly good at authenticating someone. So you've got so many perspectives and so many different connections, and it's so public. All this information is out there. You can find it. And if you're a company that, say, had an upset on a charter experience, but you still said, "Hey, it was great. It was fantastic. We had a wonderful time." Anyone involved and with inside knowledge of that situation can publicly say, "That's not true. They're liars. That's not good." And so you need to be absolutely transparent in everything you say on social media. If there are complaints and things like that, being really open and explaining the full situation is actually a pretty good strategy. And that's the negative side. But the positive side is if you're delivering really good experiences, you've got a super fan, you've had someone propose on a charter experience, and it's like, "Oh, fantastic, we're like their special moment." That's marketing gold. Then you can tell everyone about it. So all these things do not have to stay within the boat. They don't have to stay private. Do ask permission. For goodness sake, ask permission. Don't be exposing people. But these things don't have to be private and between, let's say, 6 or 10 people on the boat. They can be shown to thousands of prospective customers that are wanting that same experience. Here's my content guide. There's books on this. There's millions and millions of blogs. This is what I do. It's in one line. Please take it. Use it next week. Use it at this event, whether it's on your personal social media, on LinkedIn and things like that, and professionally positioning yourself, or maybe it's on the next charter experience. Use videos that feature people or animals. Videos by absolutely miles are the most engaging medium of content, and they're incredibly easy to produce. We all have smartphones in our pockets. The cameras are outstanding, and you can immediately go, bang, I'm on video. It requires a bit of getting used to in some cases, but once you've got that comfort, it's really, really powerful and far more engaging than the photos, and of course, just text. That feature people or animals. So the people thing, I only realized this is simple stuff, but it took a lot of research to realize this, and that if you include a person in your content, you're actually tapping into second-degree connections. And what I mean by that is if I posted on my social media about me talking, it's to my connections and people I already know. If I included the whole room here today in a post and tagged you all in it, as well as myself, there's not only just first-degree connections, but there's also all your connections. And so in terms of exposure and tapping into people's social networks, the numbers are exponential, and so you want to create that kind of thing. One great thing to do would be to create a nice, simple process that's easy to carry out, that will actually take place, is something like at the end of a yacht charter, you've done the final mooring, done the checkout, whatever you need to do, but the crew member that's there, that spent the time with them, says, hey, do you guys want a photo to remember the holiday? And then as part of that conversation, somewhere in there, ask them permission and say, hey, do you mind if you put it on our social media? Or we'll put it on social media, whatever, just get it online. And that'd be really, really effective because customers are quite hard to find, they're niche. And so by having a photo there online, you're tapping into all their connections. And sure enough, their friends have similar interests. Geographically, they're in a similar position. And so you've got a really, really soft way into their connections and tapping into that audience really effectively. And then animals. Dogs and cats are pretty well known for breaking the internet and that kind of thing. The thing that happens here is that they're incredibly relatable, so a huge number of people have pets. And if they see a dog, then they go, oh, that's my little dog, and it's really cute. And this emotional shift takes place. And that's what's happening there. So by including that animal in your content, people create relatability, we immediately tap into emotional connections, and so we cause action. And then they make a comment and mention someone and say, oh, it looks like your dog. Or at least like it, or give it a little love heart, something like that. And really, really good from the platform's perspective in getting behind your content and showing it to more people organically. Here's a nice little quote. A brand is no longer what we tell customers it is, it's what customers tell each other it is. And this is the second degree connection thing. Your customers saying how good the yacht charter was is infinitely more powerful and influential than you yourselves, with that vested interest, saying how good you are at delivering yacht charters. And social media platforms are an ideal vessel to communicate that to the extended audience. I've already mentioned this. In the execution section of our 3 steps, create a really simple process to actually carry out your strategy. And I mean really, really simple. If it's one photo, a yacht charter, if it's a specific point, that is the process. We always take a picture at this point, and it feels wrong not to do so. That's an ideal process. Make it easy, don't make it complex. And something like the final photo at the end of the charter when everyone's emotions are high and everyone's like, yeah, that was fantastic. Great moment to do that. Okay, social media. I've only touched on things. Have we got any questions? Any questions online? All good? No questions. Right, cool. No problem. Right, let's get on with email marketing. So first step, in fact, no, let's rewind. So this applies to social media as well as email marketing. And digital marketing as a whole, to be fair. All these assets, all these parts of digital marketing are about touch points. So many of our companies have one massive touch point, probably once a year, of like a family holiday for a week. They just lived and breathed your business. They were on your boat. What email marketing allows us to do is consistently over a whole year, maybe it's on their birthday, you want to just say, happy birthday. Like the emotional connection there and their loyalty will go through the roof. It's huge. And email marketing is a great way of doing that. As long as you've got the right data, the right strategy, the right platform to use, we've just got to be really clever in constructing that to make the most of it. So first, choose your platform. I've chosen a few here for different reasons. So HubSpot is like a general CRM, does all sorts of different things, is usually free for most small businesses, but it's relatively inexpensive even if you're on a larger scale. MailChimp is currently email only. It's very, very good at it. Often free. I'm a fan of MailChimp and use it myself. But their vision is actually to become a little bit more across-the-board digital marketing. But MailChimp, another solid option. And I've put Eventbrite up there as well, so I'll go into it a little bit later in the presentation, but I run networking events on behalf of British Marine, which I mentioned. I also have my own international marine networking, and as part of the Eventbrite platform, I can create that event and communicate it to everyone. A section of the Eventbrite platform that's completely free is plotting the whole email journey, and it's really, really powerful. Most of my repeat bookings are from an email that goes out usually about 3 days after the event, ready for next month's event. Really high engagement, and people go, yeah, I'll go again. Really effective way to keep people engaged and keep on coming back. So make the journey, plan it. I actually have 4 emails between each event. So it's monthly, it's on the first Tuesday of each month. You're all obviously welcome to come along. And there's that first email 3 days after, then a week before, then a day before, and an hour before. And because I've plotted that once, I then automate it, and it happens each month. And I know that process works. That's about 6 months of trying all sorts. Actually, on the event, I say, hey, look, am I sending you too many emails? Is it annoying? Is it bugging you? And I asked that because about 3 people asked me between the event, saying, oh, stop sending me these emails. Some were like a jokey form. Some were just like, actually, please stop. So I put it to the audience and said, hey, what's the general consensus here? Am I listening to very few that are just that way inclined and are complaining, or am I actually on something? And that gave me really effective feedback that I could put into my email journey to make sure it's right for as many people as possible. Segment your audience. This is something that is becoming a huge part of the space, and it all taps into this relevance. So by segmenting your audience, let's say one part of your operation is all about adrenaline-filled adventure holidays. It's going on expeditions. It's people who want to scuba dive and run up mountains, which I do on holiday because I'm weird. And you want different content to that audience compared to the audience that wants to relax and do yoga in the morning and go at night and out at night and eat pizza because that's where their values lie. That's what they want to do. And so if we create different messages for different segments of our audience, we'll keep that relevance nice and high, engagement will be high, and we get an effective email marketing strategy. And then refine. So I mentioned it, like the feedback and adjustments is exactly what I've done. Please do it yourself. Be really reflective, be very open and transparent, and you'll be able to refine your models and exactly your journeys to be more and more effective over time. Hence consistency over 12 months. It might evolve a little bit. I mean, don't go crazy, don't have mixed messages all in different directions, but small adjustments are okay. It's improvement, so do refine and make sure it's a data-based analysis as well. Humans are very good at going, well, they get all emotional and go, no, my opinion's really important. I'm the really experienced one that knows it all. Like, I know this stuff. This is the way. And the data is actually saying, well, actually, most people don't actually agree with that. But we've got to look at that and use it because it's an asset. And my number 1 tip, so just like my content guide, this is my number 1 tip for email marketing. And it's have one CTA, one call to action. That means that out of a whole email, you want the receiver of that email to do one thing. Please make it one click. That's the best. Even if you want to say, well, we have 5 different experience options for this yacht charter, rather than on that email saying, oh, you could go diving and you could go and do some wine tasting and all these things. Rather than doing that, maybe it's, we have some experiences for you, see our experiences. And so from the receiver's point of view, in, let's say half a second, maybe 1 second, you know, oh, it's about experiences on my yacht charter. That's That's the only thing you needed to communicate in a second, and that's achievable. If you needed to tell them, you can go free diving, you can go wine tasting, we can have this on arrival, that's quite hard to communicate in the attention span we have. Mine is particularly short. I go down my emails and it's like half second, like next, just a load of rubbish. And it's analyze yourselves, like think about what you do. That's exactly what your audience will be doing. So make sure you're on the right side of that. And have a simple design, like this bleeds into the one CTA. This is on Eventbrite, this is the sort of analytics you get. So you get its performance at the top there. Unfortunately, this got no revenue, but it's a free event, so it's fine. And things like open rates of 65%, you know it's a really relevant message when you start getting that kind of level of engagement and opens. And a click-through rate of 10.3%, that's pretty good. So if we send that to 100 people, 10 people are on the event, like it's really strong. And here, just to show the design, like immediately we know it's about the International Marine Networking. Next event, 4th of May, like straight on with key information. And then outside of that, it's registers. One click, on, done. That was very quickly done. And the next ones are going to be even quicker. But have we got any questions on email marketing? We've got one question.
I have a question, yeah. How often should a charter company or agency send an email newsletter to their customers? How often is not too much?
Is optimum, okay. So this will play into the email journey. So something you could do is, something you could do is close to someone's yacht charter, they're more willing to engage with your operation because it's in 2 weeks' time. It's a lot more, I need to organize that. It's quite top of mind, as opposed to, the yacht charter's not for 6 months' time yet. It's low down the priority list. So you can skew your level of engagement according to things like that and situational things. Rather than consistently just going month and month and month and month, with relatively little data, like my favorite is someone's birthday. If you have that kind of data, engaging with them on that kind of date is infinitely more effective and impactful than consistently every month, because people don't feel very special when it's a standard procedure. Okay, zooming through. So affiliate marketing, this is one of my favorites. Affiliate marketing, in the industry, like agents and operator, that is an affiliate relationship. Really, really effective. One thing I did for the International Marine Networking is I have my own network, which is great, but I knew I needed a bigger network to get involved in the event. So I went along a little bit of a story here. I went to Marine Industry News and said, hey, I want this free event. I want to connect up people whilst they can't go to boat shows and they can have conversations and develop business, and it's going to be great for the industry. And they went, okay, yeah, fair enough. We kind of like it, but we're not sure how big it's going to be, so we're a bit cautious to get involved. But they did say, and I mentioned it, I'm putting it also in front of Soundings Trade Only, which is a big media organization involved in the marine industry in the US. I said, well, I'm thinking of putting it in front of those as well. Marine Industry News, Lindsay there, she's brilliant. So, well, if you get Soundings Trade Only involved, then we'll be on board too. So sure enough, I went to Soundings Trade Only and said, well, this is what I'm thinking, and it's going to be great, and we're going to do this. And by the way, if you get on board, Marine Industry News are on board. And they went, yeah, go on then, right, we'll do it. And sure enough, I went skipping back to Marine Industry News, saying, well, they're on board now, you said you get involved, and hey, there we go, we've got 2 media partners. And what's happening here is that it's not only my network, professional network that it's going to be communicated to. We've got these huge audiences that already engage with these media organizations. It's a really relevant event for them. So there's that alignment of values and relevance to the audience, so that they can communicate it to their audience. And in exchange, there's a bit of a media barter. So on each event, the exchange is just that they get mentioned, they get a little introduction at the start of the event, and happy days. So this is sharing audiences. There's so many companies that have the same customers, but are not actually competitors of each other. One thing I was talking earlier with Yanni, and it was like, actually, once you've got a customer on board, there's so many upsells, so many things that you could do with that customer, that actually you could share the audience with a restaurant, with a toys rental company, with a hotel. Like there's plenty of affiliates around in this market, and all we need to do is communicate the alignment of values and the upsells between both parties, and then everyone wins. Digital journey. So a little bit more advanced with affiliate marketing is if everything's online and a digital journey, please use trackable links. What this does is gives you data about how effectively that affiliate relationship is performing, and they can be largely, if not entirely, automated. So if you had a website, go and you just started up and you're like, right, okay, we need plenty of traffic here, we need people to know what we're about, and you get a great affiliate relationship with an agency. And they say, well, hey, we're sending thousands of people to your website. Without that trackable link, we don't know that that's taking place. But if we do have that trackable link, you know exactly what's happening. You can build that affiliate relationship, and you can see and calculate how much businesses is coming from that. Hence, you can look at your strategy, invest in the areas that make sense, and sack off the ones that don't. That's a very, very, very briefly touching on affiliate marketing. Do we have any questions? No, we're all good? Right, magic. So, data and analytics, I've touched on this throughout the whole presentation. It's huge. Some of the world's biggest companies are now just dominating because they're so good at data analytics, and it's getting as far as analyzing human behavior and predicting what's going to take place in the future. Jessica did a brilliant presentation on AI and what's actually happening in that space. And it's fascinating, but don't kind of write it off just because you're small enterprises. Like, do think about this data analytics to analyze your own processes. Don't go too wild. Don't analyze everything on such a micro level that you're spending more time analyzing than actually doing and getting on with it. But in all your marketing processes, especially at things like boat shows, like measure the number of people that are on your stand. Measure the number of people that sign up to your email marketing so that you can analyze it properly and consider your processes and what's happening next time you're there. I've literally just covered that. And the last thing is be optimistic. This is a bit of an ethos I have with everything. I'm an entrepreneur, and this stuff is really hard. There are teams of people that just do SEO all day long. There's teams of people that do content marketing and analyze. One of my favorites in social media is like some guy's job is to design the thumb up button on Facebook. Like that's his world, and those tiny adjustments make such a massive impact because it's at scale. But we just need to get involved, try it, be patient, adapt, and evolve to be better and better at these things. And sure enough, over time, you'll have some great results. So thank you very much for listening. I've been Ben Taylor, and any questions at the end are very welcome. Immediately after this, in here, we've got Nadia's talk on tips and tricks of Booking Manager. And we'll be going through a new product as well that's launching on Booking Manager. So all are welcome to join. Thank you very much.